Okay.
This video is intended to provide updates on Math MTSS progress monitoring and the Universal Screener. Team leads will receive their team's progress monitoring packets. There should be one packet for each teacher, and you are welcome to make additional copies as needed. All materials can also be found in your grade level Math MTSS folder in the one-stop shop.
The questions in this progress monitoring packet mirror those from the Universal Screener, and you will have 6 options for each item. Teachers may choose which pages or questions to give students based on their needs or their instructional groups formed from the screener data. For example, if you are working with a small group on questions 4 and 5 from the screener, you can use the progress monitoring pages aligned to those same standards.
Some progress monitoring sheets contain multiple questions. Again, you can decide how many items each student receives. For clarity, it is best to cover any extra questions and show only one at a time. We are not creating separate cards for each question. You can simply point to the item on the page for students to view.
An example that you're looking at on the screen right now shows 4th grade question number 1. If you notice the title's on the top, and the title is also at the bottom right corner where it says Progress Monitoring 1. You'll see that there are multiple questions on this sheet. This is where we're saying you can choose to give 1 question, 2 questions, whatever you feel is necessary, but this is all just the first progress monitoring page for this question. As you go through your packet, you'll notice the next one says the same thing, but progress monitoring 2, 3, and then you'll see that each one has 6. Once you pass number 6, it goes on to the next item. So this for 4th grade would have been question number 2 with some problems here. If you are in a packet where you see there's only progress monitoring 1, it's just 1 page, it means all 6 of the progress monitoring are on that same page. As you select the questions, please remember that Tier 2 students should have data points every other week, and Tier 3 students should have data points every week.
As you review these pages and packets with your team, please share any questions that come up. Your team leader has access to a running FAQ sheet, which we will monitor regularly and update with answers.
We will now show you how to enter this data into Forefront. This information only needs to be entered into Forefront, and eventually it will be transferred into DSC. However, please remember to continue taking your attendance for your groups in DSC. As I switch over, you're going to see this is some fake data from a fake kindergarten class. I'm going to go back to the beginning of what you might see when you log in. You normally see this screen, and you can click here to view your class. After that, if you're getting the part at the top that has the 2 different assessments, you need to make sure you click Universal Screener. Let me go back for a second so you can see what I am talking about there. Up here, it says Overview and Universal Screeners for number sense. So if you're seeing the overview, you need to make sure you're on the Universal Screener for number sense, and then I'm going to click fully into it. So I'm seeing this is in the beginning of the year where you added the data. You might have went to the interview portion here to enter data. When you have given another assessment, so let's just say, take that example of questions 4 and 5 that you had a group you were working on. So this is perfect because look at this group right here, 4 and 5, they're working on some things together, and you decide that you are going to take questions 4 and 5 and you're going to do progress monitoring with that group. Once you've given the progress monitoring, you're going to go to the bottom here. Let me move this bar. You're going to go to the bottom here and you're going to click the plus sign to add data. Once you do that, you're going to pick the date. So let's just say I did this today. And now I have a new screen. If you notice, September 12th is still here. That's when I gave the original data. And now this is my new sheet. Now I don't need to fill this out for everybody. Let's just say I worked with a few different students on questions 4 and 5, and I gave the progress monitoring for those. So I'm just going to pick randomly students. Let's just say Adeline now got a 3, Liam got a 3, Kelsey got a 2. We're just gonna fill in some fake data, pretending like I had these students in a group. Okay. So now you can see you have your September 12th data, but you also have your data from here. And this can, if you give multiple groups, like if let's say Louis was working on question 1 and you had data from him from the same day, you can still put it in here on that same date. You're only filling in the questions that you tested or progress monitoring. Now at the bottom, you'll see you can go to summary. And it looks kind of funky because now you're seeing in the summary the students who you gave data to on September 12th, but those new students who you just gave data to, their November 18th date is coming up. So the latest data that you put in there is what's going to come up when you click summary. You can change that. So if you hover over summary, these three little dots will come up. And the best bet for you would be to click this thing at the bottom that says merge across assignments. And you'll notice when I click that, it now merges like the latest data for every student. So if one of those students, like let's just say Gavin before had a 1 and his latest data is now a 2, it's going to show his latest data when you merge it all. You can undo that if you go back to those three dots. Maybe you're like, oh, I don't know what just happened. I want to go back and look at everything. You can unmerge it and it'll give you the data. Now you can go to what was his data on the 12th? It's here. On the 18th, it's here. But I really think your best view is probably going to be if you're merging it, then you're seeing the latest data for everybody. And you can keep adding a tab every time you give progress monitoring. You'll just add a new tab with the date and put the data in for that.
The mid-year assessment will be administered during the week of January 19th to the 23rd. You may use your DI block time to complete this assessment. If you feel you need more time, you may start the week of the 12th. However, DI groups are still meeting this week. The screener includes both interview-style questions and a written component for each grade level. We will prepare a teacher copy for you, just as we did for the beginning of year assessment. Student copies for the written portion will be sent to graphics and delivered to your building for those that provided student counts in our Excel sheet.
Going back into Forefront, it's important that when you do your middle of year data, when you go to enter the data, that you're choosing middle of year, making sure that you're entering the right data. So you could do that from this overview, when we're overview universal screener, you could choose middle of the year from here. I also believe if you go in, you can choose oh no, it doesn't do that. Just kidding. Um, just make sure you're on that main page and choose middle of the year. And when you do that, you'll have that same choice um, to do it interview style. Some of those questions are interview style and some of them are written. So the written ones, you'll probably have to use the spreadsheet and fill it out that way. But just make sure you're in the middle of your assessment when you do that. If your school offers Spanish immersion, students in grades 1 through 5 will receive the screener in Spanish. If a teacher is unsure whether a student missed a question due to a language barrier or a math understanding, then you may present that single item in English to ensure accurate data is collected. If your students are in kindergarten, kindergarten students will receive the screener in the language they are most comfortable with. Please use your interns to help support administration of this assessment.
Lastly, we would like to address some questions that have come up about what should be happening during small group instruction. We recognize that many of the needs identified from the universal screener number sent require only brief check-ins and do not necessitate a full 20 to 30-minute group. We recommend completing these shorter 5 to 10-minute check-ins during the DI block. You may also use part of that time to meet with students who need reteaching on the grade level skills and/or curriculum addressed during whole group instruction.
When the students are not meeting with you, they can work on games and resources that were provided by Forefront or on their grade level curriculum work. It's also important to remember that we do understand that you need to meet with your kids on grade level curriculum, and that is okay to be doing during the DI block as well.